Oh.
Spicy. It's loud.
Turn up the guitarist. I like it.
Turn it up.
What's up, dude?
What's up, Chris?
Not much, man.
I'm on the big screen.
Yeah.
Olivia.
Oh, God, that's a bit much.
Olivia's happy about it.
Nobody knows.
Take it off.
Nobody knows.
The wrong one. Oh,
That's hilarious.
it's a mess today, I guess.
No, we're all good.
How dare
good.
you?
No,
You
we're
didn't
good.
notice.
Wow.
I didn't notice at all.
Some people appreciate the engineer. Some people don't, I guess. Yes.
We got a few things today.
I got something, too.
Yeah. Did you watch The Crown?
I did not. Damn it.
Yeah. So not the British TV series.
Yeah,
Netflix?
it's the IBJJF. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, the IBJJF threw on a little
I did not.
tournament of sorts. It was 4-person brackets.
Yeah, I looked at all the brackets and was excited about it, and then we got off on like old people memory thing, and
Well, and it also
didn't watch
started
it.
at 1,
oh,
which is a little odd.
that's probably it.
Yeah. They
What's it on Saturday?
it Sunday.
Okay.
Sunday.
Anyway,
It was pretty good. I would say skip the heavyweights
all right.
because spoiler alert, so 4-person brackets, right? So there's one match. One of them went and they both got DQ'd for stalling in the standing position.
Ugh.
And that took like 8 minutes of just the most boring.
Well, you to get DQ'd for stalling. That's rough.
Yeah, incur many penalties.
Eek.
Yeah, they both did. They both kept getting negative.
Ugh.
And
That's not what we want to see.
yeah, especially with I think it was 20 or 30 grand to win.
Dude, what the hell,
And
man?
they just gripped up and they just would not.
Well, and see, and this is the biggest argument, that when you bring someone in that's never watched jiu-jitsu and you're trying to sell them on watching jiu-jitsu, then they see a match like that and they're like, yeah,
What is this?
What is this? Well, I don't
dancing?
understand what this is. You
Yeah,
know?
that
And
was brutal.
That's unfortunate.
The lightweights were super fun. Not as action packed as in when I say that. When you see the names,
Well, exactly. I know what names we were.
you're thinking it's 2 squirrels and a sock. And it was super technical. Like, it was fun to watch, but it wasn't as kind of scrambly and stuff.
Well, sometimes, the matches that, you'll get that kind of matchup where they're kind of negating each other, and it just takes waiting for a mistake to happen. So.
Yeah, and Pato,
Yeah.
he had to go against 2 of maybe the most dynamic passers, Fabricio Andre,
Absolutely.
and Sam Nagai, and he just locked him up with lapel stuff, and just to slow him down. So and it worked, as in slowing him down. I'm not spoiling if he won the whole thing.
Was
or
Nikita
not.
happy or not?
He was in Canada this whole time, so I don't know.
I thought he was a U.S. citizen now.
I know. He defected already.
It's very, very suspicious.
He was at his little kid's Jeremiah's hockey game.
I understand that, but you know why I bring it up.
Yeah.
Pato.
Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of a bromance, if you will.
Apparently he was willing to
Give his body
stand up
to
for
him.
him and,
Yeah,
get
he
in
did
a rumble.
protect Pato from getting beat up.
That's what it sounds like.
So I'd say it was a pretty good event, though. The stream, Flow Grappling, just the worst job possible.
Now, when you say that, I don't believe you because I've seen the bar is already very low.
Somehow
They
lowered it.
They limboed under it, did
Oh
they?
my gosh. Constantly the score was the scoreboard thing was not on. It was freezing constantly. The audio just went out constant. You went to the Portuguese one, the Portuguese stream, and it was fine. Ugh.
Quite frankly, I'd rather watch it in Portuguese for sure.
Literally thought about it.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
Yeah, and I'm already have, the trigger cocked a little bit. Just waiting for
we're all
them.
jaded for Flow.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And I just wish they would make me happy.
I know. It's I would, yeah. And
Anyway.
they're losing a lot of their people that are behind the scenes, they're leaving. I think there's been 3 recently that are like core members that have moved on.
Yeah, that's when you're trying to like fix the leaks in that sinking ship, man.
I could go in there and I could fix so many
I bet
things.
you could,
but
dude.
The thing is, I already know they're like a sports team. Sports photographers make dog crap money, and they always want like these billion-dollar companies, businesses, and like football teams. They want interns.
I feel like if you went in there, it would be like Mo getting after Larry and Curly,
Right.
and like smacking their heads together and stuff. You'd be like, "What are you people doing?
Why?
Why are you doing that?"
Why?
That's what I feel like it would be with you.
Man.
I think you would probably, that vein in your head that sticks out when you're getting choked.
Yes.
I feel like it would be up
a
all
constant.
I think it would too.
Right. It would be like my new scar, my Harry Potter scar.
Yeah.
It would just be there.
I like it.
So, but good matches.
Okay.
Nonetheless.
If we shit on Flo.
If you want to sponsor us, Flo. Need a podcast.
Oh, jeez, dude.
That's the grappling bulletin's dead.
You would be the worst, though. I mean, it's not like we have a lot of freaking subscribers, but even we would be like, yeah, we're going to pass.
Maybe we'll just
we're going to wait it out a little bit.
revisit this next year.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
We did get robbed of one of, in my opinion, was going to be the best match of the whole event, which is Francisco Lowe against Wanderson. I forgot his Fajeda.
I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a new black belt.
Okay.
He has maybe the most dynamic and coolest stand-up in the game.
Oh, nice.
His judo is
That's a big compliment coming from you.
it's scary awesome. Super fun to watch. Because he'll throw you and then like it's almost like he throws you into a flying armbar. It's super fun to watch.
Almost like a Demetrius Johnson
Kinda.
suplex into the armbar.
Yeah, in the gi. It's just crazy.
That's crazy, man.
So he's super fun. If you can watch some of his stuff from the Abu Dhabi Jiu-Jitsu Championships, he did real good there. But
I will.
he got hurt in the first round, so he couldn't because he lost his first round, and then Francisco lost his first round. So they were doing third place matches, and since he got hurt, we didn't get to see it. But Tynan, awesome. Felipe Andrew,
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely.
The ladies, really good.
I'll watch it, and I'll probably watch it in Portuguese if I can.
Yeah. Yes.
No, dude. Otherwise I just get angry.
Right.
Cool.
Then we got Nogi Worlds coming up.
Yes.
Biggie. That's a biggie. There's a lot of big names in that one. So
That's gonna be good.
that's going to be good. We know a couple people going down there.
Okay.
Mai.
Oh, really?
I don't think she
didn't know
listens.
that.
She hasn't told anybody.
Oh.
So you just outed her on the fucking podcast? Oh my god,
You
dude.
won't know. It's
People
okay.
do not go up to her if you listen to this in our gym. She will.
Dude, that's like
probably be
saying don't
nervous.
think about elephants. And you're like, oh, elephant. Yeah, dude. What the hell? Yeah, don't do it. Of course, you're
Don't
going to be
tell
like,
Bill any secrets. He will have you on a podcast.
that is actually the best advice ever, Olivia. Yeah.
That's rude.
Don't tell Bill secrets.
It's rude.
Okay.
And I believe Rajna's going.
Oh, okay.
I think. So, old teammate.
Yeah. She's kind of a perennial there. She's
Yeah, she likes
kinda-
to compete a lot.
Yeah, she likes that.
Other than that, we did have a question come in that I highlighted that I found kind of interesting. Would you like me to read it?
Can you?
I've been practicing.
Okay,
yes.
let's do it.
I read the cartoon section in the newspaper.
I know. You've been good.
So the question is, and this is to all three of us. He highlighted all three of you.
Oh, dear.
What are your thoughts on the contrast between pace and tempo in a match?
So I saw that. I saw that, and
There is a second part to that, but we'll start
I read the whole thing, and I might be a dummy, but I was like, I still didn't really figure out what we're actually asking here.
right, especially in that first part.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you, Liv? Pace and tempo.
Oh, my gosh. You're going to put me on the spot?
Because I have an answer.
Well, I feel like pace is like literally like, I'm assuming like the speed at which you're going
okay.
versus tempo would be like, hold on. No. Let me think about this.
What is that? Something that we've weaved?
Tangled web.
Yeah. What a tangled web we have.
When we practice to deceive. That's the whole parable.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
You were alive in biblical times, so you know those.
I do. Dude, actually before, if you want to count, I was actually mummified from like the third dynasty of whatever pharaoh it was.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think
You know what BC means is before Chris.
that's true.
So, boy, there's going to be a lot of hate.
Hold on.
That's true.
No, it doesn't.
Some people add a little bit of something on the end.
Some people are going to be very upset with
It's
that
okay.
comment.
I'm a Bible thumper, so I approve them.
Nice. Anyway, I think they're synonyms.
Well, could pace be
I use big words.
the speed at which you do the entire round versus tempo would be more so like what you do within like intervals, like as in.
So this is how I think
like
of it.
you up.
And this person might just be
certain
asking
parts.
because they don't know. Like they don't really quite even understand, but they hear the terms mixed and matched maybe.
That's what I've heard many times because you go on tempo runs,
Right.
and then what is your pace? It's describing. They're kind of used interchangeably.
Like a 2-minute pace or a 4-minute or 5.
Yeah,
or
but
something.
like when you go on a tempo run is where you're really pushing a specific pace. It's describing like
Okay.
yeah. So I don't know why we're no offense, but I don't know why we're splitting hairs on those terms.
I'm going to assume.
Okay.
Now, maybe they went because they are from our gym.
Okay.
Maybe I covered a class where I said tempo because I use that term a lot, like take the tempo, keep the tempo kind of thing.
Could you say the same thing and insert pace?
I don't think so, but that's just my mind.
Well, that's the first mistake they went to your class.
Ew.
Go ahead.
So this is my thought. Pace is kind of what Olivia was saying and kind of what you're saying, where
Dude, go ahead.
what you can't.
It's kind of both. It's kind of everything.
Well, you guys basically said the same thing.
And I think pace and tempo are basically the same thing.
I get it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you're senile. So pace is, yes. I think pace is literally like when you're doing speed drills, right? You set a pace. Let's say like X pass, boom, 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 right? Or like Toriando passing. You're doing a motion at a certain pace, like jump rope, let's say.
Okay.
And you keep that. So then you have to have pace management for sure. Otherwise, you're going to be, especially if that pace is high, you're going to gas out.
I know what you're going to say.
Want me to finish or you want to take it?
I just want to see if I'm right.
Okay. By letting me finish or?
No.
Okay.
Do you think tempo is tempo with who's controlling the pace?
Ooh,
I think this is full of shit.
Or you could also use rhythm.
Oh my God, dude.
we're not going into cool runnings.
Breaking the rhythm, breaking the tempo, same thing.
Maybe. Okay. I'll work with it. So once
It's
again, I think pace is more like I was saying, like when you're jump roping, how fast you're going. Tempo, I would interchange more so with momentum.
How?
Because
Chris is getting so angry at all these.
No, I just think it's bullshit.
I think you can dictate who. One person can dictate the tempo.
I see.
I think pace can
I
not.
see what you're saying.
Pace can be, like I said, just a movement style, rather than tempo can be. If I'm reacting to you, let's say you start doing a knee cut, I defend. You decide to bail on the knee cut, go to X pass. I defend by turtling, and then I turtle successfully, then come back into my guard, and then you go to an X pass. So you're putting the pressure on me. I would say you have the tempo in that. You're controlling the tempo.
Why
in
don't
that
you just
moment.
replace it with pace?
Because in my mind, I think pace, once again, would be the level of speed and intensity that you're doing it, not actual, like I said, tempo/momentum. Now, let's say you do your knee cut, I defend. And then you go to X pass, because that's like a normal sequence, right?
I would never do that, but go ahead.
What's a passing sequence you do?
Trap a leg, get top half guard.
Top half.
Uh-huh. And you know, well, the tempo, you know what my nickname is, so it ain't that fast.
Let's hear it. That's exactly.
Yeah.
So you go you get the half guard.
Then I slowly smish.
Give me some technical stuff here.
I do a crossface. I switch.
Perfect.
Okay. I switch my hips to put shoulder pressure.
Okay, so if your right leg's trapped, your left hip kind of drops down. Shoulder pressure starts pushing their face away from you.
I then pull them in, put shoulder pressure on. Then I walk my foot to their butt.
Knees up.
Yep. I put my elbow on their thigh. Go get a knee to elbow connection on for myself.
Perfect.
And then follow my knee follows my elbow into 3/4
to push their knee off your shelf that you made.
That's right.
So let's say in that moment, I then, because you successfully got chest to chest, you successfully got shoulder pressure. You use your elbow to push my knee off. I then put that top leg that you just pushed off. I wrap it to a butterfly hook.
Gotcha.
Okay.
You insert a butterfly.
Yep. Now I insert a butterfly. I'm essentially butterfly half.
Yep.
Also in this moment, because you had your elbow tight to the rib as you pushed it off, in this moment, I also was able to get an underhook.
No.
It happens.
It's unlikely, but go ahead.
It happens.
Let's just say it happened.
It's a good defense.
Okay, let's say that it happened.
It happens. Then what do you do?
When you got the underhook?
Yeah, so I just got a butterfly, and then I just got an underhook.
What I'm going to do then is I'm going to shift my body weight down the lever of your arm to try to kill your underhook.
Okay, kind of like shrugging down.
To kill your underhook.
So now my underhook, I'm not elbow deep, I'm wrist deep, essentially, right? And then you're saying like you would chicken wing down essentially over my lower.
I'm going to move my body from where your chest is more towards your hips, right? So I can kind of kill that underhook a little bit.
Perfect.
Yep.
Then what? I still have a butterfly, but my underhook is basically crushed.
I'm going to, if you have the butterfly under my right hip, I'm going to drop my right hip to the ground.
Okay.
Right? And then I'm going to try to walk myself over to the right to put your butterfly hook onto the ground.
Okay. So now you're switching directions.
No, I'm going the same way. So in other words, your butterfly is...
You were going to your left. Now you're going...
No, I'm going to my right.
Okay.
Because you have... Oh, do you have your left butterfly hook?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to put my right hip to the ground, not to give you a hook, and I'm going to start kind of scooching my way to the right to get the point of your knee from up in the air down onto the ground.
Got it.
Right? And then from... it depends on what happens at that point. But I'd also start with that underhook that I've trapped. I'd probably try to get a Kimura grip on that sucker and peel it off your belly and probably roll to T Kimura.
Okay. So you would switch from that chicken wing down, probably get a wrist grip, get that elbow control.
That's correct.
With your left arm, and then almost a forward roll over my head.
Correct.
Into T Kimura.
That's right.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
So I would say that whole time you had the tempo/momentum, because I never dictated what we were doing. I had a moment of potentially stealing the tempo.
I like that. But Livia, can you look up the word tempo and give me the definition, please?
Okay.
So
I like momentum.
Yeah. Now, and I think of it as in a dance form, because
I know what you think of it.
In dancing, they talk about tempo.
Uh-oh.
I like exactly. I like your concept.
Yeah.
The words are confusing. Go ahead, Olivia.
Well, there's two, but I'll go with the one that most.
Oh, that works best for you guys? Yeah, go for it.
No,
She
not
doesn't
for
even agree
us.
with me.
I'm just joking.
The rate or speed of motion or activity, and then it has a semicolon and it says pace.
So that's fine. And I think
I like your concepts. I'm just giving you. I'm being an ass.
I think, like I said, I think if you want to split hairs and understand what tempo and if you want to have two different meanings and like understand, just because you have tempo doesn't mean you're setting a hard pace.
No, it doesn't, because pace and tempo can be interchangeable.
Because
you can have an easy pace or easy tempo, and you can have a hard pace and hard tempo.
Right.
Your momentum is. I like this.
Yeah.
And Bill, the reason why I'm doing this and being a jerk is because the words have. It'd be like if I called, for whatever reason, instead of calling it a Kimura, I called it the Chris Luck.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows what the hell I'm talking about. I just want to make sure we.
But so this is the
Did
thing,
you know
though.
that Gen Z says that lie or cap means lies? So that's why they say no cap.
Yes.
Dude, you're going to make my head explode. Go ahead.
So I actually don't even hate those terminologies of like the Chris Lock, because, for example, people that are old school black belts, if you show them a Choi bar, they'll say that was just called an arm bar when I was coming up.
I see. But you're distinguishing a type of armbar.
Exactly.
And I'm ripping off a move that is done since the dawn of jiu-jitsu,
Right.
and then calling it my own name because I'm a narcissist.
I don't know if that's necessarily it. I think that can be it. But
Okay.
I don't think that's always the case, because if you're throwing in nuance with a name, I think there can be a benefit to that.
If you would have said from the beginning, you could use either tempo or pace, doesn't matter which one, and then use tempo and momentum, that would make perfect sense to me. Or pace and momentum, that would make perfect sense to me. I'm just telling you what I know what you're thinking, and I like your concepts because I think they're very valuable. I'm just saying
that's a lie.
No, I do. And I know very few times I'm going to compliment you, but it's actually a very good point. Words are really important as far as when we're trying to convey meaning to other people. And if there's some ambiguity there, if some people thinks this means this, or it's used interchangeably, it makes it confusing. That's all.
Yeah. And I think I
guess, shit on your whole thing, basically.
Yeah, I will never use it again. Basically,
so
stealing momentum, because I usually talk about having negative momentum and positive momentum.
I like it though. That's good.
And with the positive side is, in that scenario we just talked about, you have all the momentum.
Correct.
And I'm literally fighting for my life that whole
I'm
time.
dictating the way things are going, and
right.
you're defending.
I need to change that. John Danaher calls it offensive cycles and defensive cycles.
Yeah.
I'm in a defensive cycle that whole time. You're in an offensive cycle. I need to, as what I say, is steal the momentum and get to what he calls an offensive cycle. Otherwise, I'm fighting for my life the whole time.
I love it. I think that's a great concept, and I agree with you. Find a way to break that momentum.
Just don't say tempo ever again.
You can, but just use pace and tempo as the same
Just
thing.
don't use the wrong word. Well, I am notorious for having shit vocabulary because I dropped out of high school.
It has nothing to do with that.
Probably.
You're very no, it doesn't.
I don't have. Well, I'm using our word wrong.
Who cares? You can look that shit up. You're
just
because I'm
butt-effed me
an
because
I'm
of
an
it.
asshole. So I like doing that to you just because it's fun. But you're very intelligent, creative. It has nothing to do with education value level. Because I know some people in my profession that are freaking dumb as a rock, can't think their way out of a paper bag,
Right.
but they have a degree. So anyway,
So, for our buddy, there is no difference between pace and tempo in a match. That's your answer. Liv, you're not even paying attention.
but I like your momentum.
That's how I understood pace and tempo. Obviously, I used the incorrect terminology within that because I have a feeling he was in a class and I was using that terminology.
Yeah.
And obviously, it confused him.
What did I say from the beginning? That was his first mistake.
Right.
Going to day class.
Should have. No, I don't think. I think it was a night class that I covered.
Okay.
So he should have skipped it.
No, man. No, it's a very good thing. I'm just,
Which, if someone wants to go to advanced class on the 1st, I'm covering. So if you want more poor vocabulary,
I think people actually show up. No,
I'll bring the soup and nuts.
look, the soup and dude.
Well, there's more to this though.
Okay, go ahead.
Also, the contrast between concepts and principles specific to studying and learning jiu-jitsu. So the question also, what are our thoughts on the contrast between concepts and principles?
I think
this one was harder for me.
Yeah, and I think other people use those things fairly interchangeably too.
Yeah.
So there's a when we look at a principle of something, it's something that is a core, like a foundation type of. You could look at it as a principle, as a foundation, like a foundation concept. Mm-hmm. You can have a concept that may not have nothing. That may be a very esoteric, like
It's almost like a theory.
Well, yeah, or a concept is a framework in which we put things in. But a concept can be esoteric in that it wouldn't really apply to a whole bunch of stuff, or it could represent a principle. Do you see what I'm saying?
I feel like principle is a little bit more foundational.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not fluid. It's like this principle of keeping your elbows tight.
But
needs to happen.
That's right. But conceptually, it's still it's not a certain technique. It's like here's a general concept, and Kit Dale talks about this a lot, as far as and not that I agree with the whole anti-drilling thing or anything that he says you never should drill. I don't know if I'm putting words in his mouth, but
I've seen the
something to
headlines of
that.
this stuff.
Yeah, and who knows if that? Yeah, I haven't either. But his whole point is a conceptual approach, where a principle is like a foundational concept that is something that has wide applicability to your jiu-jitsu game.
His thought on the conceptual approach, is that similar to the ecological approach? Okay.
Yeah.
That we're starting to hear a lot about now.
Yeah, and we're trying to put cooler names on things
Like
to
the
make
Chris
it
lock.
Exactly.
Like ecological training.
Well, it makes it sound super impressive.
Right.
We're doing ecological training here.
Yeah, I listened to like 3 of that guy's podcasts, or where he was on other people's.
Yeah.
It just feels a little bougie.
That's my point. Is we're trying to.
I'm not
Like
saying he's wrong.
overcomplicating something.
Yeah,
that doesn't-
yeah. We or
rewriting
make
the-
it. We're trying to put our own little stamp on
Yeah.
things. Oh shit!
And it's the only way. Like we've all been doing it like retards, and that's the only way. Like the only good way to train.
Apparently,
And it's like I don't think
or the
Marcelo
smartest
Garcia
way
did it
and
that way.
everyone-
exactly. So without getting caught up in the terms, a conceptual approch to jiu-jitsu is not, instead of learning a whole bunch of kind of disparate moves in isolation, we're looking for central concepts. And I would say a central concept could be thought of as a principle.
Yeah. Liv?
I concur. I don't know.
I feel like I'm being a bully today. I feel like I'm being a
Yeah, the
bully.
Mountain Dew before class or whatever this is.
No, this is
Podcast?
actually freaking some bullshit tea. I don't know what it is. It must have something in it.
Something in it.
Something in it. I'm a little freaking spicy today.
It's on one.
And then also, so the contrast between concept of jiu-jitsu specific to studying and learning jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and that's a good question.
Yeah.
Not getting hung up in the principle. I really enjoy foundational jiu-jitsu in that finding the little details that make something really work.
Yeah.
Like those little things that Hickson calls invisible jiu-jitsu or
Yeah.
but I like the conceptual approach because then if you have a general concept, you can plug a bunch of stuff into it. You have a hanger to put your moves on.
So what would this be considered? So something I always try to bring up, I stole from Mikey Musumeci. And it's the term, the pass box. And are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
And it's basically, for people that aren't, it's your belt line to your lower rib,
That's
essentially. And he calls that the pass box. And it's whenever you're passing, it doesn't matter what the technique is. To solidify the pass, you need to occupy the pass box.
That is a conceptual jiu-jitsu
Concept. Okay.
or you could call it a principle. I think it holds water very well with a lot of different passes, right? If you occupy that space.
Yeah, because it's something that to finish a pass, you're pretty much going to have to occupy.
You're going to get
space.
regarded otherwise.
Right.
And you brought that up, I think, in class briefly, at least in the last couple of weeks. I think you brought up a point when you were Andrew Zuke or something. I remember you talking about it. But anyway, I think it's a really good point. And that's a perfect example of a conceptual, no matter what pass you're using.
Yeah.
That's a concept that kind of supersedes individual techniques.
Right. So it's almost like something that like we're saying, it's not a step-by-step technique. It's just something to always kind of know.
Yeah.
One in, one out.
And
or is bad. Either 2 in or 2 out.
Correct. As far as arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So
exactly.
Be like what is the difference?
There isn't.
There isn't.
No. But I think that's a very good question. If we don't get caught up in the concept versus principles semantics, and we talk about just what that means in learning jiu-jitsu,
right,
as opposed to individual technique-based learning to conceptual learning, where you can plug that concept into many different things that you're learning. Yeah. And that's what kind of I'm getting from that, which is interesting because it segues very nicely into something I wanted to talk about today. Whenever we're done,
we're done.
Are we done?
We're done.
What about mine?
So I actually do.
Mine's gonna be at the.
Well, because we got a nice segue.
Okay.
I do have a concept.
Okay.
So for
$10,000,
Yeah.
we can be an investor in your candle business.
Yeah.
Is that the concept?
Well, and it if you look at the flow chart, it looks like a pyramid. Is that okay?
Very nice. So everything I sell, you get a piece of.
That's right.
I'm in.
How could it go wrong?
I'm in.
Was Bernie Madoff wrong? No.
He's still out there.
Jeez, I think he's in jail actually. So,
three square meals.
I was watching something. I got to give props to where this prompted my thought. I was watching a Jean-Jacques Machado YouTube video a couple days ago. Very good channel. And he was bringing up a specific example about in closed guard, when you have someone in your closed guard and they're posturing, not to work so damn hard to break their posture, and learning how to really manipulate their levers of their arms to help break them down without using a whole lot of strength, especially when they're really kind of having some good grips on your chest and they're, have good frames and they're, So I think most upper belts kind of have figured this stuff out, but I think it's worth talking about. And I'd like to, what we'll do maybe today after class is do a couple quick examples on a video.
Oh, yeah.
For the folks to kind of watch on the YouTube channel.
Sure.
But his whole thing is, if you can imagine, I know this doesn't translate well into audio with audio, but if you're in my closed guard and you have a grip on my sternum and then another grip down by my pants area and you're postured up really well. His whole point was to get, either your elbow, weave your elbow in the inside of that front arm and kind of basically make his elbow flare, almost internally rotating the shoulder, which then you can collapse that frame really easily. Or if they have two hands up, grabbing the outside of the elbows and flaring them. Basically, excuse me. Here, hold that thought for me.
Nerd alert.
Yep, the old reactive airway struck back again. So, but the whole idea is learning those joint mechanics to make your life easier. Especially, I know, when you're first coming in, let's say you're athletic and strong, use a lot of muscle and I think a lot of us use way too much of that instead of using some of these techniques. Another good example is if I'm in, imagine you're in my half guard. I have your right leg trapped. And then you, in turn, have my right leg trapped between your two legs on top, right? My left leg's out on the outside. I'm turned onto my right side, creating frames. So if you're putting a heavy pressure on me, let's say I don't have a knee shield in, it's going to be fairly easy if I don't have, if you beat my frames for you to get chest to chest and flatten me out. But if I take that outside leg and hook around your right leg and then pull your hip into internal rotation, it makes it really hard for you to put forward pressure on me. So using those, the joints to kind of, which is so much better than trying to go muscle and muscle. Or if we're doing the classic underhook side control escape, where I kind of, I bring in that underhook and shrug you up and then come up almost like you're coming up for a single. If I just grab onto your leg, you'll sprawl right out of it. But if I weave my hand through and bring your outside leg into internal rotation again and press, it makes it a lot harder for you to do that and sprawl. And we'll use some examples of that as well.
Because your power line's totally off. Like you can't just like extend the leg back.
No, and you're weak, and people are weak when you're at in-range internal rotation of the hip. That is not a strong position. Another perfect example is spinal alignment. That previous example we talked about where I was passing your half guard, and I got into 3/4, 3/4 mount, and you are latching onto my leg. There's ways to escape that, but a kind of an easy one is instead of, while taking that left hand from under the crossface and bringing it over the top and grabbing your trap and using my forearm to turn your head the opposite way of your hips, it makes your spine.
It's like a button.
Legs
open.
Yeah, legs will open.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't think we're using these things enough. And I think really emphasizing this at the lower belt level will help people immensely. First of all, it's going to energy sparing big time, right? And it will make your sweeps better. It will make your defense better. So I think we'll do a couple examples of that just for some visuals.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
To show some people. It'd only take like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I think it's worthwhile and kind of going over.
We'll either put it already, played it, and paused your little explanation there, and we splice it in, or we'll put it at the end of this video.
Oh, cool. Either way will work.
Yep.
Will work well. But I think it's like one of those. A lot of people are like, "Yeah, duh, yeah," but I see all the time rolling where people aren't using some of those things.
Right.
And I think it'd be nice to kind of refresh and kind of think about it again.
Oh, totally. I mean, it's those little things that kind of really help when people don't like understand like why upper belts or black belts, or especially like seasoned by like multiple degree black belts.
That's right.
They can do things that just
like, how do you shut me down like that?
Yeah.
And it's those type of things usually where they're putting your joints in places where you can't generate power from.
Right. Where you normally feel like you're good. You feel like you're good in half guard, top half, and they don't have an underhook.
All of a sudden, that outside hook comes in and puts you in internal rotation of your hip, and it opens up a ton of stuff, right?
Yeah. I love it. I love it a lot. I like it a lot.
Well, thanks for the compliment after I crapped on your thing.
It's okay.
No, you have
I'm used to older men just destroying my dreams. Thanks, Dad. See you later.
You and me both. We should get respect.
Get Dave in here again.
Oh, yeah. All three of us.
Livy, what do you got?
Okay, so my question is, I saw recently a jiu-jitsu athlete who went to a place to use an HBOT or hyperbaric oxygen
Therapy.
And my question is that something that would be beneficial for jiu-jitsu athletes to use?
Okay. Chris is going to go on a rant.
Just do it.
Okay.
You felt spicy today already.
I know. Where did they go?
Just some wellness recovery.
Yeah, exactly.
Place.
That's all I need to hear.
What do you mean?
It's not true hyperbarics. So these little pods that look like Michael Jackson's thing, that he used to use.
The what?
You ever see that? Look up. Yeah. Well, actually, he may have built himself a true. Who knows? That dude had the money to do it.
Right.
So hyperbaric chambers are built to and I can tell you this as a former military diver who was trained on operating these things for diving injuries and things like that. We also use them for medical treatment. Okay. Hyperbaric oxygen is super interesting. and it can be very valuable. But what these spa type or wellness type places are doing is advertising hyperbaric oxygen, because if you pressurize something above 1 atmosphere, we have a barometric pressure of 1 atmosphere in general that raises up and down depending on weather, but you've heard of barometric pressure. Anyway, the weight of the atmosphere has a certain amount of pressure. Okay. And at this pressure, it affects breathing gases. Air is basically 79% nitrogen, 21% oxygen. Basically, there's some trace. It's not exactly, but there's some trace. Anyway, so the idea of true hyperbaric oxygen, usually you end up pressing someone to the equivalent of 45 feet of seawater, which is under, right? And so that's over an atmosphere. It's usually an atmosphere and a half extra. Of pressure. That extra pressure increases what's called the partial pressure of oxygen, especially if you're breathing not air, you're breathing 100% O2. Okay, because air is about 20 point something percent oxygen. A lot of people think that air and oxygen are the same thing. They're not. It's mostly inert gases and nitrogen. But anyway, if you're breathing 100% O2 and you're true pressurized in a real hyperbaric chamber, you basically you drive oxygen into the bloodstream. It's almost like, perfect example. You know, when you have a soda that's not open, okay, and if you had a clear container, it would look like, let's just say it was water, right? But when you open it, what happens? That's right. And you see the bubbles come up. That's because the thing has been pressurized. So that carbon dioxide, in that case, has been super saturated into the liquid by pressure. And when you relieve the pressure, it comes out of solution. Okay, the same thing happens with hyperbaric oxygen. You're breathing in oxygen. You're in a pressurized environment. Imagine you're in a soda can, whatever. But you're pressurizing it so that normally oxygen is dependent on hemoglobin, which are the oxygen carriers in the red blood cells, to deliver oxygen to the tissues, including the brain and everywhere else. Hyperbaric oxygen actually lets you dissolve the oxygen into the bloodstream itself, independent of hemoglobin. So where with hemoglobin, it's in a red blood cell, the very, very small capillaries, some of them are only big enough for a single red blood cell to kind of traverse. Hyperbaric oxygen allows that size limitation is no longer present. It's still dissolved into the liquid of the plasma and in your bloodstream itself, so that oxygen can get to places in higher quantities that it normally wouldn't get to. And that can help with things like wound healing, especially.
Even soft tissue healing.
Especially soft tissue healing, right?
So that's why like athletes or something might do something like that.
They may, right? But there's some trade-offs to that. You got to know what the heck you're doing. True hyperbaric oxygen can be dangerous too, because you can get something called oxygen toxicity. Too much oxygen can actually be bad.
A diver comes up too fast.
No. Nope.
Just joking.
That's arterial. That's either decompression sickness or arterial gas embolism. They're two different things. Okay. But the decompression sickness is your nitrogen has been pushed into your tissues by the pressure. And if you come up too quick, it's like shaking a soda can and popping the top.
Through your skin.
Well, all those bubbles come up too quickly and they start blocking off, right? Because you pressurize nitrogen at a certain partial pressure. Now you came up too quickly. It's like popping the can on a soda can. It blows out and you get those bubbles get too big in the bloodstream. They start blocking off important things, and then you can have major problems. Right. O2 toxicity is just the partial pressure of oxygen is too high, and it's actually toxic to the central nervous system. So that's why when you go deep, you have to alter. Matter of fact, when you do these like 1,000-foot chamber dives, you're only having like a 1% oxygen mix in there, and mostly helium. Oh. Because if you use regular amounts of oxygen, the partial pressure would be way too high. Where 1% oxygen at 1,000 feet is the proper partial pressure, as if you're breathing 21% oxygen at normal pressures. Okay, so I'm trying to get too complicated. These spas, they may barely pressurize you. They're not built to do 45 feet of seawater equivalents. They'll blow up.
Because it would have to look like a
big, like a submarine looking thing.
like heavy duty.
These things are highly regulated. They have to be inspected regularly. You have to know what the hell you're doing operating these things. You can kill someone with them.
So this is kind of like that submarine that was local here that went down on the Titanic.
That's even worse. That's an implosion.
Right. Where he used like carbon fiber.
You can get crumpled like a can underneath the water due to the pressure. What we're talking about here, these spas, it's not really hyperbaric. I mean, they can say, well, it's a couple percentage points above sea level pressure. So technically it's hyperbaric, but
they get the true benefit.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there any benefit that people
over
are
just
getting?
breathing 100% oxygen? I mean, it's debatable because you have to get the partial pressure in your bloodstream enough to actually push the oxygen into the bloodstream outside of the hemoglobin oxygen carrying capacity. So most of these things are scams.
Dang.
So
You might as well
placebo.
just get an oxygen bottle from a medical supply store like the COPD people have, put a mask on if you just want to bring 100% O2.
I used to do that with paint.
That's good.
Spray cans.
Does explain a lot.
Made me.
I don't think it's your education, Bill. I think it's your vocabulary
that's why
problems. I think it might have been that.
I was a little dizzy.
What'd you say?
I was a little dizzy.
Okay.
Yeah, you've displaced oxygen into your brain. It's like, oh shit.
I was trying to heal.
No, you displaced it. Yeah.
That too. So, these quote unquote wellness clinics that
Unless they've invested millions of dollars in a certified hyperbaric oxygen chamber, which big hospitals have, and there's no kidding, true hyperbaric oxygen therapy. There's a center or two down here in Seattle, not only used for treating diving injuries for what's called recompression, but they also actually treat like burn victims. They treat skin grafts. They do a lot of things like
It's
that.
more medical than like
Very
like
much so.
performance recovery.
Yeah, true. I mean, I'm not saying there's no recovery benefit to true hyperbaric oxygen therapy, but it'd be prohibitively expensive.
Well, I was going to say, and also probably just the liability.
Totally. You have to have certified
risk.
operators. You have to have a physician
Yeah.
that is monitoring this.
kind of goes down the road like of the wellness clinics that also have a TRT clinic.
Dude,
And
Yeah.
they charge you $250 every 2 weeks to inject you.
Carrie and I just went on a rant. She had another patient that came to her that was a victim to the same kind of nonsense. And he was like, what do you mean the testosterone's only $78 for 3 months?
Yeah.
So I have to come in? She's like, nope, I'll show you how to take it.
Right.
But it's the same kind of nonsense. So you would be much better off, and I've ranted about this before, get your foundational freaking health things in line instead of thinking you're going to a spa and getting quote unquote hyperbaric oxygen.
Just to piggyback it, I see these all the time. Is this legit woo-woo snake oil? Those compression things on people's legs.
So
Those like, you know what I'm talking about? They're like,
I have a pair.
they're big and yeah.
I have a pair right here next door.
The boot kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
I see athletes doing
So-
it all the time.
Anecdotally, I think it feels good.
What's the point?
It's like a massage for me.
Does it help with the lymphatic system or
Yeah.
something?
Are you dying?
Dude, it's just post RSV. I'm getting.
Have some respect for our listeners.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to cough off here.
So
Anyway,
yeah.
so
What's the theory of what
the
it does?
theory
Yeah.
is, we're
Concept.
it isn't even a concept.
It's called a callback.
A lot of people will say, "Oh, and this goes to this whole thing that drives me crazy. Oh, we're milking the toxins out of it."
Could you milk me?
Gross.
Fucker. Yeah, that'll spin me up. That whole nonsense. So I think there's some benefit for lymphatics, just promoting maybe circulation of lymphatics. I don't know if there's any studies that definitively show that it improves recovery. I can tell you it feels good after, like, sometimes I'll throw on, mine go all the way up to my hips, and I have some arm and shoulder ones. I think it's like someone doing like a sequential, like a massage, right? It's the effect of the mechanics of it. And typically the sequence is supposed to start down in the distal end of the extremities, and then the wave of contraction works at waist center. I guess if you had circulation problems, it could possibly help, but I haven't seen anything definitive that says this definitely aids in recovery. I could be wrong. I haven't looked into the literature in a long time. I think it feels good to me afterwards, and I feel my muscles feel better. It's like getting a massage to me.
Sure.
So, I just be wary, everyone, especially if there's a place that is advertising something.
Yeah. A lot of snake oil.
There is, and there's some good stuff too. I'm going to take a future topic here I've gotten really interested in that sounds like complete bullshit, but there's actually something to it, is that hydrogenated water.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds like complete nonsense.
Interesting.
There's actually solid research behind it, not only for medical applications, but believe it or not, performance enhancement, actually randomized controlled trials on this thing. So I think that'd be interesting. I just got a little thing to make it, a little machine that...
So we'll mess with that then.
Yeah, yeah. So we can talk about that, because there's actually some... But it sounds like nonsense, right? But that's what I mean. So there's some things that sound like nonsense. They're like the red light thing, right?
Definitely.
It sounds like preposterous, but there's good science behind it, both study wise and anecdotally. So
okay,
I've been doing the hydrogenated water with a machine, making it for about a week now. But we'll talk about that in a future episode, just to tease it a little bit.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Guys, with that, hit us up. Comments, questions, concerns.
Yeah, and if you guys want to send a thesaurus or any kind of vocabulary book to Bill, we're taking donations.
grapplingwithpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Send all Venmo money. I guarantee it'll get spent on a dictionary. Maybe.
Got to work out a mental sweat, too.
Right, yeah, exactly. Got to read a book.
Buy a book.
Okay, that's it.
All right, later.